John Butler here on The Buzz, and my special guest today is somebody who's long overdue because I keep being told this show needs a director. And so we got a director on board today. Welcome, Michael Mayhall.
Yes, sir.
And see, there you go. The director would tell me to cut off the phone, right?
Turn the phones off when you're on set, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn it on silent.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, well, we're gonna talk about a bunch of things, but I understand. You're a director and you make everything look better, and that's your goal is to make the actors look better and
That's the
everything look
goal.
better. How do you do that, buddy?
I get out of the way is what I do. I just get out of the way. I was told a long time ago that the key to being a great director is get a great script and get great actors and just get out of the way. And that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
I think how do I do that? I try to give everybody on set the freedom to bring their talents to the table because that's why they're there. I just want to see what they have to offer and just pull it out. Whatever I like, I just pull more of that and then a little less of this, and then there we go.
Yeah. Well, I must have a lot of friends who are would-be directors because they're always telling me to get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Well, give folks a little bit of insight on the current show you're working on. Then I want to go back into your past with work at when you were a stunt man and all that stuff. So what are you working on? What are you working on right now, Michael?
I'm working on 2 projects right now. So we just finished our season 4 of A House Divided, which I'm super excited to announce that we just got nominated for an Emmy for Best Show on that. So it's super exciting. So we just wrapped on season 4, which is going to be really exciting. What started out as sort of a soap opera drama has really turned into, in my opinion, sort of a crime family, sort of kind of got a Godfather feel happening to it now. So we're in the process of just putting the edits together, which is it sounds really boring, but it's actually really, really exciting to finally take all that work and like cut and snip and put it where it all needs to go. And then most currently right now, right before this was happening, I'm in the process of finishing some edits for a Christmas movie that we shot last month sometime. And that's just a nice, lighthearted, romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Which hopefully will be out in December.
Who are the actors in that?
Shanti Lowry and Aaron Spears, they're both so talented. Shanti was an actress in one of the first TV shows I ever directed called Bronx SIU. She was the lead in that. And we just always look for projects to work together on because she's just amazing.
What's the premise of the Christmas show other than Christmas?
I mean, it is just like it. It's sort of like almost in one way every other Christmas movie. It's about a young lady, a real estate. She's a real estate agent, and she goes after this big fish. And there's sort of a comedy of errors that ensues, a mistaken identity, and not really sure who is who. And as they work out their problems together, lo and behold, the relationship blooms. And will they or will they not get together is the question.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a really cute, fun, lighthearted movie that I really just think it hits all the feels, right around that Christmas time.
Yeah. So different from the real estate agent and You're Dead to Me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you want lighthearted at Christmas, so
you do, Yeah, you do.
Maybe an occasional bad Santa thrown in there, but
Hey, don't get me wrong. I would love to do a Bad Santa. I love that movie.
Yeah. Oh, that was pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely on the other side of the scale, though.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite genre to direct? Is it the lighthearted side or the dramatic? What would you choose if you could choose any genre?
If I could choose any of it, I would find that movie that's got a little bit of everything because I love like the dark, gritty, violent dramas. And A House Divided sort of hits that. It's got some really dark undertones. It's got a lot of drama. It's got some action in it. It's got a lot of backstabbing and plotting going on, and then the guns come out. So it's got that element to it. But I'm also a bit of a goofball, so I love the lighthearted comedies. So the Christmas movie's got a lot of like, it's got some slapstick in it, it's got some pratfalls, it kind of just hits all the other side of me. If I had my way to do it, I would do sort of think like, Guy Ritchie movies, like
Yeah.
it's got the action, it's got a little comedy, it's got the drama and the grit. Like I really love it if I could hit all the notes.
Yeah. Are you a writer also? Do you write some of the scripts?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote Bronx SIU along with my partner Dan Garcia, and then A House Divided. Dan writes A House Divided. We work on plot lines together, and then on the day, if a scene isn't working, I'll adjust the scene, and I write some small scenes in A House Divided. Mainly that's Dan, and then for the Christmas movie, I didn't write the Christmas movie, but I did a director's pass at it, and then I wrote several additional scenes in it.
Now,
Yeah, I love writing.
Where can people see House Divided?
You can see A House Divided on All Black or Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems to be the way people are watching things now. Netflix, Amazon Prime.
I cut my cord years ago and just hasn't fazed me.
Yeah, so do I. I never turn on regular TV.
No.
I tell my friends who are frustrated, turn off the news. Don't watch it. It's not news. So
it's not news. I'm so much happier when I'm not watching the news. Like I just much better frame of mind.
Yeah, no kidding. Isn't it amazing? And it doesn't change. It's the same, whenever I do turn it on for 10 minutes, it's the same stories.
You can probably go back, 4 years, 10 years, 15 years, and we're just talking about the same things over and over and over again.
Exactly. Mike, I don't know if you remember, Walter Cronkite, CBS. He was the most trusted voice back then, and we need another Walter Cronkite on the air. But anyway, Walter Cronkite retired, and he was a big sailor, and he went sailing for like a month or two or whatever. And when he came back, he said, they said, well, what are your observations? Because you tuned out of the news when you'd been tuned into it, obviously directly, every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he said, well, what struck me is the stories were the same, only the names had changed. So, yeah, and I think that's true.
So true.
Okay, well, on A House Divided, for someone who hadn't seen it, give us the premise and tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, okay. So I'm really bad at this, so I'm gonna try my best.
Hey, you should be great at this.
I know. What it is that I get so excited. I want to tell you about every single thing that's going on, and then I ruin it. And
Yeah.
So A House Divided is. Let me turn this light on. It's getting a little dark in here. A House Divided is about an extremely wealthy, influential African American family, like multi-billionaire level of money. They own banks and corporations, and then what happens is that I don't want to say what the one event, but this something comes along and sort of derails how this family is going, and you suddenly see how they just sort of fall apart. Like the house of cards comes tumbling down, and the more they try to sort of hide and cover up all the things that they've been doing with their money and in the bank, the worse things get. And the next thing you know, bodies start dropping, and they slowly kind of morph into this criminal family that's constantly, in order to like cover up this deed, they have to do something else that's bad, and then they have to do something else, and just keep going and going and going. And then everybody just wants the money. And it becomes focused on who can you trust, how loyal is your family, and what do you do when the shit hits the fan and suddenly you turn around and the people you thought who were always on your side are the ones against you. It's intense. It's really intense.
Well, it sounds like the political world.
Yeah. You could parallel something like that.
Okay, well, give me a little insight into the director's life. So you got a script, you're given a script, or you find a script. Give me the process. What's step 1, 2, 3 that you go through?
First, I'll obviously read the script and try to digest it as quickly as I possibly can into my brain, and basically just live with it. Every word, every action, every period, every question mark, everything. I just try to take it all in. And then I start plotting out, okay, here's John. Here's John's character arc. What is, this is where he is, and this is where I need to get him. So how do I get him here? And what comes in along the way that stops him from achieving his goals? And then I do that with every character.
So do you like make notes on the
Yeah.
character arc, or do you have a graph you create? Or?
Yes, what you can't see right here is a big whiteboard, and then I've got notebooks and sticky notes all over the place. It's a very chaotic world up in my brain, but I'll write out character plots, character ideas, what I want to have happen, and just try to achieve all those goals on the filming day. Because it's a challenge, you have a very finite amount of time each day to film, and you have a lot you want to accomplish. And then once I do that, then it becomes about, how do I want to make, what's the visual tone? Do I just want it to be nice and pretty, dark and gritty? What's the lighting like? What's the camera gonna do? Where's it gonna move? So then I have to like sort of incorporate all that into the character arcs like that, of what I want each character to do, and hopefully we hit the marks. And then of course it all change. You have to throw all that away because it completely changes on the day. Because then you get there with the actors and you rehearse, and you're like, well, we can't do this because of location, and they have their ideas, so you have to readjust, and that's the creative process. But that's what I'm constantly going through every minute of every day when I'm involved in something. It never stops. It's just always morphing and always changing.
Well, I admire you, anyone who directs, because you have so many moving parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got, the camera, like say angles, and the camera people and actors and lighting,
costumes. And then you think about things like food. Like I have to make sure that I feed everybody on set. Everybody gets fed properly on time. It's just like serious time management. But it can be a lot of fun too, because you'll hit moments where we're doing something the other day, and I had this big elaborate setup, and we were talking about it, and then we rehearsed it, and we realized that we just need to let this go. So we just followed it with the camera. We got this amazing shot, an amazing scene, but it was only with half the coverage. But that's just because what the actors were giving us with the notes that we had given them, and what we wanted to do was just so raw that we didn't feel the need to like do all the extra stuff.
Yeah. Well, you have a little bit of an advantage because you've also acted.
Yeah, done some acting.
Which do you prefer, directing or acting?
Both. When I'm acting, I'm like, I really want to jump behind the camera right now because I see a really cool shot. And then when I'm directing and the scene's going really good, I'm like, oh man, I want to jump in there because that looks like fun. I want to get in on that. I started on the stage in Natchitoches, Louisiana, doing plays and theater, and it was a big Shakespeare group. Yeah. And Shakespeare heavy, Shakespeare musical theater was my theater department, and I couldn't sing or dance, so I did Shakespeare. Yeah. I thought it was going to be on Broadway, but then this guy showed up at school. We were doing Romeo and Juliet, and he showed up with a case full of swords, and he said, "Hey, do you want to learn how to sword fight?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like something I would like to do." So I learned rapier and dagger, broadsword, quarterstaff, all sorts of like weapon style fighting, which led me to Orlando, Florida, which led me into the stunt world. So I did that for 10 to 15 years.
Wow. And then, how many broken bones?
None. Thank goodness. Wow. None. Yeah. A lot of hard hits, a lot of bumps, a lot of falls, lots of Advil, a lot of ice packs, but no broken bones. Thank goodness.
Well, it's you don't do that anymore, right?
No, every once in a while I'll call a buddy of mine. They're all stunt coordinating now out here in New Orleans, and I'll ask them if they have like an old man stunt. I was like, can I just die in the background with a heart attack and just to be a part of it? But I don't want to get hit by cars or set on fire anymore. Yeah,
a lot of people may not realize that's a big industry, the stuntman industry, stunt person.
It's huge. It's gigantic. It's kind of what we all go see the action movies for, right?
Right.
I mean, if they weren't there, you wouldn't have an action movie. They're really, I think, the unsung heroes. I think the people understand it, but of the filming industry, it's the only job that I know of with 100% accident rate. You're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
some
The
point in
guys,
time.
yeah. 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 The guys I know all have cuts and bruises and usually broken bones, but,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and they get paid a lot of money.
They do. A good just like a top level actor, a good actor, they'll do well if they're a good stuntman. They
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
they can achieve a high level of success.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys got nominated for an Emmy. How did that feel?
Awesome. It just felt freaking great. It really did. It really just did. I was not. I was, we hope, but I was not expecting it, and I was really just so proud because like I work the crew and the cast so hard. I mean, we're pulling ridiculously unfair hours every single day,
Mm.
and I'm just really happy for them because it kind of shows that all that hard work and all that effort, 15-hour days sometimes paid
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. Well, rolling back into your childhood.
Okay.
What kind of childhood did you have?
I had a good childhood. I was a rambunctious, adventurous kid. I don't know how far back you want to go.
Oh, I just
Um,
well, okay. So you at some point you were in I guess school plays and then local productions, and at some point it clicked and you wanted to be a director.
yeah,
Tell me about that
I,
moment.
first film I ever directed. It was called Jake's Road. It's actually now called Death Hunt. Made change the name.
Now you just didn't
Um,
jump into directing. What
yeah, so
did you?
I started looking back.
Yeah.
Anytime I was involved in a production, I was always the one going, I have an idea. What if we did this? How about this? What about this? And I just really found that over the years, I just really enjoyed taking the story and crafting it and putting it together. And at some point in time when I moved to Orlando, Florida, I found myself writing. I started doing improv comedy sword fighting shows. And I had this little acting troupe, and I wrote and directed these shows, and I sold them all over the Southeast and performed them all over the Southeast. And I just really enjoyed the creative process. And when I did my first film, I was sort of, I was thinking about it, and it basically was my friends who I'd been with for who'd known me for years and years and decades. They were like, "Look, Mike, just admit it already that you want to be a director, and just do it already." And it's basically they just gave me a kick in the pants, and that's what I needed to do the first film. I was just, because I'm looking at people like Quentin Tarantino and
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's who I'm idolizing right now. Like Clint Eastwood, for an example. I'm like, I'll never be Clint Eastwood, and so I just always held back, and they just gave me a kick in the pants, and like, if you don't start now, you'll never get there. So just do it already. And that's what I did. I wrote and got the funding and invested my own money in the first film, and it did pretty well. And it gave me the kind of the confidence I needed to just keep going. And that was it. I mean, it's just, I could look back and put all the dots together, but I think I really owe it to my buddies for just, smacking some sense into me.
Yeah. Well, we need that occasionally. Yeah.
You do,
Yeah. Yeah. What are your observations on Hollywood, how it's changed over the years, the state of Hollywood right now? What are your observations on
The
that?
state of Hollywood right now, in one way, it feels like business as normal.
Yeah.
If I just sort of look back, like it seems like Hollywood as a whole, like as an entity, when you hear about it in the news, they're always sort of got one sort of thing or another they're trying to champion, right?
Right. Right.
But I guess every group's got a cause. Everybody's got their cause. What I really like right now that's happening in Hollywood is I love all the content that's being pushed out. I really, really do. Because like we were saying earlier, like the Amazons and the Hulus
Yeah.
and the Netflix and all that.
Yeah.
I just love it, because that means that you can get people who don't normally have the opportunity to create content that are creating it. So you get all these new voices out there and all this new media out there. And some of it is, not so good, but a lot of it really is good. And you're looking at all these voices of tomorrow who hopefully will be here 10, 20, 30 years down the road, pushing good content and pushing the envelope. And that's what I really love about it. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that, because we're totally independent filmmakers, new media on all these new channels, and we're allowed a voice. It's not, you don't just have to be super famous and have $100 million in your back pocket to do a project now. You just really need the drive and some talent and the will to get it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of avenues to get it out there now, including, you know, YouTube. You could produce a small one, I guess, if you're a budding director, actor.
Put it right on YouTube.
Put it right on YouTube for free.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, hey, I've enjoyed talking with you, Mike.
Thank you, John. Me too.
Any observations you want to leave us, or inspiration for maybe a budding director who might be watching?
Just go out and film something. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be Oscar worthy. Just start. You have to start. You have to take a first step, because if you don't, you'll never get anywhere. You'll just sit and wonder. And that's the worst.
You know, what you just said is a mouthful in terms of it doesn't have to be good. I've got a little perfectionism in me. And so, and I know, you know, people who do, and so it stops them. You just get it out there. It may be crappy, but eventually you'll learn it if you keep going, hopefully.
It's going to be good. You know, I mess up all the time and I learn from it, and I just come back and I try to just do better. What a friend of mine, he used to say, he said, go out and fail, and the next time fail better. Yeah. Fail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a big trick, and that stops a lot of people. It's just internally in their head, not wanting to fail, not wanting to look bad.
Yeah.
Mike, you felt good and you're succeeding really well. And we wish you all the best. Hope you'll touch base with us occasionally and just keep us posted on your projects. Okay.
I'd love, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. This is great.
Thank you, Mike. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.